Join the team.
Hey team, it's McGuire Review, and we're going to take a look at Paizo's new decks that they're releasing now. Each of these is a little bit different. We'll look at each one of them because I think it has something a little bit different to offer. All three of these are branded with the Pathfinder IP. So these are Pathfinder decks. And I think some of these are, you get them if you really are playing that type of character, or you have a number of those characters in your group from a GM perspective, and you want to be able to either hand out different types of things as they purchase them or acquire them, and have that information right on there for the player, or it's going to be utilized to just give the player a little bit more information at hand for any types of things like gadgets from the gears that they may have as a player and not have to write down or track those things or remember those things by looking in a book or whatnot. They can just have a card that has the artwork of the item and all the stats and everything that item does, which is really cool. And these are, I really like this type of product that Paizo does make, because it makes playing the game a lot simpler, especially if you're not doing all of this stuff in a digital format. If you do have these items and you are tracking it and you like to kind of carry the cards, I think it's kind of cool. Sometimes you can show up to a game session with a binder or a book, and you've got the card sleeves, and you've got all your items and or spells or different things or little, alchemy reagents and different things that you might need to be able to create things. I think that's really, really cool. It just makes it kind of fun. It's something you can kind of touch and see and actually, handle. And I do think that makes playing the game even more fun. That's just my opinion. Some people, this is the type of product that's like, why would I want more physical stuff? Okay. Maybe for some this is not going to work. Maybe some just want to just have that book in front of them, and they can kind of have tabbed in the book where their items are, and they can just flick through real quickly and read and see exactly what they have, and they just have the book. That's perfectly fine. But this, I think, is just another type of product that helps you play the game in a different way, and I do think it makes it a little bit easier. That's where these two really come in. This one right here is an absolute must-buy regardless of what RPG you are playing. I know this says Pathfinder, but you can literally use this for any RPG out there that you would be playing. This right here, my friends, the box that I hold in my hand is an amazing product, okay? We're going to talk about this in just a minute. We're first going to look at these, okay? Now, let's look at the Alchemy deck first. They are going to follow a similar approach, but I will kind of grab... they do come in two decks this size in there, okay? And it is going to be the same. You're going to have the same... Well, actually, it's not. It's going to have a picture of whatever the it's going to be the same. It's going to have a picture of the item on the back to show you what that is. And then it's going to be much like you would find right out of the book. It's going to tell you exactly what that item is. It's going to tell you all of your keywords, how it's used, the usage amount of times, and then the different types and prices and whatnot as you're using that to, build other things. You're generally going to be components that are going to be able to be used in different ways. Okay, acid flask. Okay, and there's a few of each one of them, so you can have a number of different types. Right, so it isn't like you just have one card to represent two or three of them. There is a number of them within each deck. The Blight Bomb. So these are really cool if you're playing a ranger and you actually make some of these bombs, and then you use these bombs to create bomb snares, which is something I love to do. Then you can actually have the item there, and you know how many of those you have, and you can use that as a component when you go to create your bomb snare that might be made up of blight bombs or any type of bomb. So that's how these cards are going to be used. They're all going to follow that approach. Okay, so if you are interested in the alchemy stuff, if you're interested in the different components you'll need to create things, this deck right here is what you're going to want to buy. Pathfinder only, though. This only works for Pathfinder, okay? Here, we've got the Gears deck. It is the same thing, same exact kind of concept, but it's going to have all of the stuff from the new Guns and Gears. Here's all of the gears items that you can acquire. This is really, really cool for the Tinkerer type. I absolutely love the gears stuff. I utilize that a lot for even my ranger and the different types of snares and little gadgets that you can build, especially when you go down the path of becoming like a crafter kind of person. That's where this gets really cool. Instructions. This deck includes gadgets, devices, weapons, and various technological items from Pathfinder, Guns and Gears. The full text for each item is provided whenever possible through the longer, complex, magical stuff. So I'm not going to read everything that says there. Basically what they're saying is they're going to do the best job they can. And I think you're going to run into that more probably with this than you would something like that. They're going to do the best job they can to get all of that text and everything that would be in the book for the backpack ballista or any of these items. What a cool, this is an awesome item. I love this item. They're going to put as much as they can on that card. If there's anything that they can't fit on the card, they will conveniently put the page number right on the card, and you can jump into the book. You're going to have the Guns and Gears book. You jump right into the book and be able to look that item up, or any other detail about that item, lore, whatever it is. They couldn't fit on this actual card. Oh, that's cool. I didn't notice that. On the back of this, they got the Pathfinder P there. That's pretty cool. I like that. Okay, that's how this deck is going to work. Again, somebody that wants to get all these little gadgets and use them to craft things, and or just is utilizing the gadget, doesn't want to remember what it is or look it up, you got the little card. I love these things. I really do. Okay, this is where it gets really special. This is the deck of Endless NPCs. And it doesn't really matter what RPG you're playing. You can use this deck to create the NPC of your dreams. You can literally use this deck to create the NPC you want as a GM, or what I find more fun is to use this deck to create random NPCs that the group would then encounter. You can either do this one on the fly, which is fine. I think you just probably need a minute to kind of look at the cards and see what you're working with. Or you can do this to kind of prep out some NPCs behind your DM screen for the next play session and kind of have them back there, and you already know kind of what you're working with. Everything on the front of these cards, so all these cards are going to follow a similar kind of approach. One side of them is going to look like this, which is just it's not going to have any artwork. It's just going to have a bunch of like stats and words and symbols. And then on the other side of the card, you're actually going to get some artwork on that NPC, what that particular NPC looks like. And then some different things as far as like names and whatnot that you might want to choose. And this is how this is going to work. You're literally going to shuffle this deck. This is so cool. This really is so cool. You're going to shuffle this deck, and you are going to go 1. You're going to do it on the side with no artwork. 2, 3, and then boom. You're going to pull a 4th card. The 4th one on the top is going to have the artwork. So set that to the side. Okay, and you're going to set these cards. There's like a little sort of sepia box and line. You're going to set these cards where they go right over each other. Hang on, I'm probably going to do this wrong. I usually don't do this right until I get the... yeah, it's not like that. It's like this. You're going to set these cards like this. Okay, and then you're going to take this card, and you're going to put it over the top like that. What has happened here, and Bear's going to bring the camera down, we're going to be able to look at this up close. What's happened here is you'll notice, okay, now you have just designed an extremely unique NPC. By shuffling these cards and doing the 1, 2, 3, 4 that I just did, you will probably not get the exact same NPC again, because one of those cards will be different. Okay? There is over 100 million different combinations that you can come up with by use of this deck. 100 million unique NPC combinations. So, this little box, okay, you're starting to see the usefulness and I think the power here. You're going to look at your names, okay? Ancestry, dwarf, ethnicity, bam, we got it. Names, you can pick a name or your own, but you got a nice selection there. We're going to go with Torval. Okay, this is Torval, the dwarf. Excellent. Then we're going to have these little arrows here that are going to point to whether their alignment is. So we've got chaotic good. So it was the arrows. Chaotic good. Okay, excellent. All right. Then we're going to have some text that is going to be kind of on the side here that we can read. This one says, having a meal. This NPC wants nothing more than to finish their meal in peace. And then H is the meal that they're actually eating at that time. So H means the number of hearts that are on these cards that you can see. And S means the amount of scrolls that are on these cards that you can see. And then there's a couple different tables, and it will just tell you, however many of these you see, this is what the attribute is for this person. And again, that's going to change with each one of these cards that you lay down. So the meal is how many hearts. So there is 1, 2, 3. That's it. This one doesn't count. This is part of a table. There's 1, 2, 3 hearts. That means they're eating a local delicacy. So maybe when the party approaches, Torval the dwarf here, I'm going to say the pronoun is he, him. When they approach him, he's going to be eating a local delicacy meal. And he just wants to finish the meal, right? So he's probably right off the bat not really wanting to be bothered. Over here, emissary. Based on their dress and mannerisms, this NPC is from a foreign land here on a diplomatic errand. Okay, so there's another piece of that backstory. Where are they from? Well, that's how many S's. We have 1, 2, 3 scrolls. They are from a nearby alley. A nearby alley. Okay, so that's the area that they're actually from, a nearby alley. All right, so the plot thickens. There's also a couple things here that have to do with their personality. This NPC is here to have a good time and to make sure you do too. They buy drinks, sing songs, join the fun. You can see just how, like Rich, we're building out this NPC right on the fly. Then we get into these secrets, which is pretty cool. And it says right here on the card, if H is 1, apply the secret. So this one actually says if H is 1. So it has to be that exact number. It can't be... So H is 3. So, it's at least 1. No. If it was 1 or more, it would say 1 plus. So this is it has to be exactly what it calls for this particular, the way it's calling it out here. Okay? H is 1. H is not 1. Then we are going to look here in the middle as well. It does say if the scroll is between... there's a couple things here. Our scrolls are 3, so it's 3 to 6. This is a local resident, as far as what we know. And it does have the H total, which is 3, and that indicates friends and family. So there's a number of different things that are on this card, and that's why I said in the beginning, once you get used to using these cards, you can probably on the fly have them walk into a tavern and say, okay, there is an NPC they need to deal with to get a specific story hook from, and it really could be any NPC that gives it to them. So I'll just randomize real quick because they're getting close to the bar, and I'll set it out, and I'll start reviewing why maybe they're thinking about shopping or whatever the party is doing. If you give yourself probably a minute to 2 minutes, you're going to be able to understand what's on this card and start to kind of get a feel for this character and this character's background. That all comes with kind of experience of being a GM on how quickly you can do that. Or if GMing is something new for you and you just want to create really unique and I would say fairly deep NPCs, then create this sort of the night before and have 4 or 5 of them behind your your screen set up, maybe tucked away, and you've already reviewed them and you know what you're working with. It's just a way I think that you can really surprise your party with some fairly unique NPCs that have a pretty decent background to them. And that's why this endless deck of NPCs is a must-buy. It is one of the coolest products I think they have made thus far. It makes creating NPCs effortless, and you get an amazing amount of different unique combinations through doing them as well. And the bonus is there is nothing on here that is Pathfinder specific. There's no metrics, there's no numbers, there's nothing on here from a stat perspective that is Pathfinder specific. You can use this for any RPG that you're playing that you need to create unique NPCs. So if you are watching this, here's where it's at right here, and this goes for an MSRP of where is it? $24.99. So for $24.99 MSRP, remember, you're going to get the Endless deck of NPCs. If you like this kind of content, hit that like if this helps you in some way. I would appreciate it. We do lots of different content on the channel. Tabletop RPG stuff, miniatures, board games, all that stuff you're going to be able to find here. Hit that subscribe if you want to follow along and join the team. With that, keep rolling them crits. It's been the McGuire Review. We'll see you next time.